right. There's some key communication patterns to keeping things positive. First of all, couples that have positive interaction are able to have constructive discussions. There may be something that you disagree about, that you need to talk about, and to be able to have a productive discussion where you sit down and each person gives and takes a little and comes away understanding the other person.
One of the things I would recommend in this, and we try to observe this, if you haven't gotten somewhere in about 15 to 20 minutes, it's time to say time out, and maybe you wait a day or 2 or 3, and you write it on the calendar on Saturday, let's get back together, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, let's see where we are. It gives you time to process and think and maybe have a different perspective. Oftentimes when we're doing it right in the moment and we're heated, we're hurt, that's probably not the best time for us to negotiate our love. And so what we're trying to do is have constructive discussion instead of escalating.
You know what we mean when we say escalated. You start talking about something and, I just really am frustrated because I don't feel like anybody helps me around the house. The kids don't pick up after themselves, you don't. And then the spouse says,
I just can't believe this. And then it just keeps going from one thing to the next to the next. In fact, we like escalators in department stores and malls. It takes us from one floor to the next to the next. But in our marriage arguments, escalating becomes a very, very bad thing. Well, we talked about the validation couples, but there's some sense in which even if you're in a volatile mode, you'd say, yes, I see you're really upset about that. And it may not sound real compassionate, but at least it honors the fact that, yes, you're upset and I may not agree with you, but you've got a right to your opinion for it to be different.
As opposed to invalidation and put downs. I cannot believe you're upset about that again. That is just not a big deal. Don't even bring that up.
You're being such an idiot about this. In fact, you should not feel that way. One of the things I teach as a professor of counseling is that whenever anybody says anything, you say, so tell me more about that. Really? So that's a difficult thing for you. And I don't take it personally. I encourage my counseling students not to take it personally. However, I did have one lady one time, and she was into the invalidation mode. She kind of thought she had the answer for everybody, and she would say in response to someone's distress, you shouldn't feel that way. You've been so blessed in your life, and she would have some other trite saying that basically said, you have no right to feel that way. And that's not a good thing as a counselor. In fact, she decided she'd prefer some other graduate study. I told her she ought to do something like go teach high school.
Okay, something that is a positive is to ask for clarification. Even if you think you know what your spouse means, to say, okay, explain this a little bit more so I have a better understanding of what you're upset about or why you're upset about this.
When something's going wrong, you do want to know more about your spouse's perspective on this, instead of having a negative interpretation kind of along with that sure-tailed cousin of the mind reading, where we just take a negative spin to it. And you think about back in our dating, we didn't have those negative assumptions. We gave our spouse the benefit of the doubt.
Again, a positive thing that couples can do, if there's a disagreement, an argument, as you mentioned, is to say, take time out to plan. Okay, we're a little too heated or we're too tired, it's almost bedtime, we don't need to be having this discussion right now. How about we go to breakfast Saturday morning and let's talk about it then? And that's not withdrawing. The negative to that is to withdraw and say, well, I'm not going to even talk to you about that. You're not ever...
I have learned something, that when we get in a bad mood with each other, if it's late at night, it's just time to have a good night's sleep. It'll look better in the morning. Or if I'm frustrated, it's not the time to send an email. It's just time to let it chill and let it sit. I've also learned that I'm a beaver, as we talked about in the earlier session, and I really work hard and long hours kind of thing. But I'm married to someone who is not. And when she's tired and it's 9 o'clock, her neurons, her willingness to engage in thinking conversation just really goes down.
My brain shuts down about 9 o'clock. I just, don't ask me to have a serious discussion, productive.
Or don't
planning.
ask me to get all excited about something that I get excited about, which I do. Because we talk about that tomorrow. And I've learned to honor her difference in that and say, yeah, that's okay. Or the other thing is, well, I want to see what we can find, the next thing to eat, and wait. And what I've learned is when Rhonda's hungry, it's time to meet her needs and get something to eat.
Start doing a little meltdown as time goes by.
She gets more emotional when she's hungry, and then we can't discuss things as well. And so I have learned not to postpone eating, which I can do, but that's not good for her. So again, learn the intricacies of your spouse, the things that are not written in a manual. Learn your love well, and then honor that.
Honor it, plan for communication, plan for the times that are going to work best for the two of you.
How many of you have heard the concept of the love bank? Okay? It's a great concept. This idea that we want to make positive deposits, good, healthy deposits of love so that we can have a stable love account.
And it's kind of like your money bank account. You don't want to overdraw it. You want to put more money in than you're taking out.
Because guess what? In life, there are going to be things that you accidentally do and sometimes on purpose do that are withdrawals from your love account. So we do want to keep this healthy balance. So instead of this unstable account where you see just a few pluses in there and lots of minuses, we want the other side, we want the left side of that diagram where we are stable in our love.